Okay, so let's get into this. We all see the celebrity stuff scrolling by, right? The shiny photos, perfect family moments. But sometimes you take a closer look. You gather the different pieces, the public posts, maybe some research notes on, specific events, and then something really personal, like a memoir. And suddenly that perfect snapshot, it changes. The simple birthday isn't just a birthday anymore. It feels more like, I don't know, a marker in time. Today we're doing a deep dive into Dwyane Wade and Gabrielle Union, specifically around their daughter Kaavia James's recent birthday celebration. Now, on the surface, it looked fantastic, really joyful. But when you bring in the full picture, especially the journey they shared in their own words, well, you realize this isn't just like standard celebrity stuff. It feels more like a victory lap, maybe 5 years in the making.
That's a great way to put it, yeah. And what we want to do here really is look beyond just the Instagram posts, the superficial layer. We're trying to pull out the specific details, the emotional context that the parents themselves have put out there about how hard it was to get to Kaavia's arrival. Why did they share that? And how does knowing that history actually make the joy they're showing now seem, well, deeper? We're basically connecting the public celebration to the private struggle they documented.
Okay, so let's start where most people probably saw it, the celebration itself, because that's the hook.
Right.
Kaavia James turned 7 years old on November 7th. And that specific date, November 7th, it matters.
It does. It creates what people call a golden birthday. It's kind of a classic milestone, turning 7 on the 7th day of the month. And Dwyane Wade, he actually pointed this out on his Instagram stories pretty quickly, sort of setting the scene. This wasn't just any birthday. It was golden. It frames it differently. Not just getting older, but like a lucky, shiny, special event.
And Gabrielle Union's post on Instagram, it really leaned into that whole shine idea. She described Kaavia as literally shining just as bright from head to toe. So reinforcing that golden visual. But it's the tone, I think, that really takes it beyond just a happy birthday. It feels like this reflection on hope finally realized.
Oh, it's intensely personal. Yeah. She wrote about thinking about Kaavia before she arrived, imagining who she'd be. And then she finishes that thought with, "You have not disappointed at all."
Ah.
I mean, that phrasing, not disappointed, it suggests this wasn't just a hope, but maybe a dream that took a lot of effort to achieve. And this child met that dream.
Mm-hmm. And then there's that line that, for me, really connects to the backstory we're going to get into. Towards the end, Union writes, "Thank you for choosing us to be your parents." That specific way of saying thank you, it just feels heavy with everything they went through, which, the sources detail later.
It really does. It's not just general parental love, is it? It's like this deep gratitude for a very specific, hard-won outcome. And, before we dive fully into that background, we should probably mention the fun bit she included, too. That hashtag 67B day.
Mm-hmm.
It's referencing that TikTok trend, the age transition thing.
Right, yeah.
It just shows they're also, having fun, enjoying the now with their daughter, which almost makes the contrast with the past struggle feel even sharper,
Well, that's a good point. And Wade was sharing stuff, too,
Yeah.
right? Like clips of her birthday breakfast, a very sort of intimate family moment, but made public. It rounds out this picture of just complete happiness. Okay, but let's pin down the detail about her birth, because that's key to understanding why this golden birthday feels so significant. Kaavia James Wade was born November 7, 2018.
And here's where the context really shifts. The sources are clear. She was born via surrogate. And that single fact, it's the bridge, isn't it? It connects this really bright, happy celebration straight back to the very difficult history that Gabrielle Union wrote about in her memoir, the book, We're Gonna Need More Wine.
Exactly. Knowing she was born via surrogate immediately changes how you see the birthday. It's not just routine. It's a celebration of overcoming something huge. So let's look at what Union actually shared in that memoir. Some of the facts and quotes are incredibly powerful, and they really shed light on the joy we're seeing now.
I think the central thing, the fact that really defines the depth of their struggle, is the number of miscarriages she revealed. Union wrote that she'd had 8 or 9 miscarriages. You just have to sit with that number for a second. 8 or 9. It's more than a statistic. It represents so much hope and loss over and over.
Yeah, it implies years of trying, years of hope, followed by heartbreak. And when you think about that level of persistence, you have to wonder about the toll it took. And the sources, especially her memoir, they don't shy away from that. The language is incredibly raw about how relentless it all was.
She specifically wrote, and this quote is just brutal, "For 3 years, my body has been a prisoner of trying to get pregnant." A prisoner. Think about that word choice. The loss of control, the feeling of being trapped. It suggests the whole process just took over her life. physically and emotionally. It wasn't something she was doing. It was something happening to her, something trapping her.
And it was the cycle, the constant nature of it that created that feeling. She described it so vividly, the IVF treatments. Always, perpetually, either about to go into an IVF cycle, in the middle of an IVF cycle, or coming out of an IVF cycle. Just imagine that. No break, no peace. For 3 solid years, her body was constantly under the influence of these demanding treatments.
hmm And understanding that context, that relentless cycle, helps clarify why turning to a surrogate wasn't maybe a first choice or an easy choice. It seems like it was the point they reached after years of this, after the IVF cycles, after those devastating losses. The sources really indicate it was a decision born out of, well, exhaustion and medical reality meeting head on.
So you have this really intense documented history of struggle in the memoir, years of it, and then flash forward, you have this outcome, the incredibly joyful golden 7th birthday all over social media. And it's putting those two things side by side. That's what the real story is, I think.
Absolutely. It's fascinating to look back at the language of the celebration now, knowing that history. When Union says Kaavia shines just as bright, knowing the darkness they went through, it makes that shine feel earned, like a reward. It gives the whole public party this incredibly rich subtext.
And let's go back to that quote again. Thank you for choosing us, underneath. Like you said, as someone who conceived easily said that, it's lovely, it's sweet. But when you hear it from a mother who went through 8 or 9 miscarriages, who felt like a prisoner for 3 years, that phrase just lands differently. It has so much weight. What does that tell you about how they view Kaavia's arrival?
Well, it strongly suggests they see her existence as something precious, something not taken for granted at all, maybe even miraculous, achieved through sheer will and, yes, medical help. It sort of elevates parenthood itself, from maybe an expectation to a profound gift they received. And also makes you wonder, why keep reminding people of the struggle implicitly 5 years on? Why link the joy back to the pain?
That transparency seems really important to them. I mean, they put this incredibly personal history in a best-selling memoir, and they continue to sort of echo it in these public moments. It feels like they're saying their joy isn't separate from the struggle, it's because of it, or at least deeply shaped by it. Celebrating Kaavia this way becomes, in part, a public acknowledgement of what they overcame.
Exactly. That golden birthday, it's more than just turning 7. It feels like a testament to their whole journey as a family. And maybe, for others out there who faced infertility or loss, it shows that joy is possible, even if the path looks very different than you expected. By framing Kaavia's birthday with all this underlying context, they're kind of demonstrating that vulnerability isn't weakness. It actually defines the victory.
Yeah, that feels like the core insight for you, the listener. From putting these sources together, the public celebration becomes so much richer, so much more meaningful when you understand the private struggle that came before it. It really underscores how appreciating the shine, as Union put it, means acknowledging the difficult path they took to get there.
Absolutely. When you trace the whole arc the sources give us from that feeling Union described, being a prisoner of IVF for years, the physical and emotional toll, to then seeing this vibrant, happy 7-year-old celebrating a golden birthday, it really forces you to see it as more than just another year older. It's like an anniversary of profound fulfillment achieved against the odds.
So the final thought we want to leave you with today, thinking about all this, when a family is this open about the immense effort, the high cost of what feels like their miracle, how does that vulnerability change how we think about success or happiness? And how much deeper does that shared joy feel, knowing the years of literal heartache and medical intervention it took for them to finally be able to say, you have not disappointed? Something to think about.